Haini pi, haini pi, haini pi. Wajani wina, jankishna, hini karagiwina. Hanachni pi, arajara wi, pi wa unang shana. Good morning and greetings from the land of 11 nations, or as everyone else calls it, Wisconsin. I am doing fantastic this morning, and I sincerely hope everyone else is as well. With so much going on in the world today, let's just focus on what's going on in our little part of it and see if we can't make sense of that. To each and every one of you who spend a little time every week listening to this podcast, thank you very much. Time is our most precious commodity, and I truly appreciate you sharing yours with me. If you'd like to get in touch with me, ring me up if you have my number. If not, we have a couple of ways to get in touch. My Gmail address is manikaksik@gmail.com. That's MANIKAKSIK@gmail.com. I haven't been all that active on a Chipotle Facebook page lately. I've slowed down a tad bit because of the volume of work lately, but I do check in several times a day. And with the end of the month rush over, we'll resume posting content once again. Twitter and LinkedIn I'm pretty good with, and Instagram, always a challenging avenue of contact. I say that because I just don't want to post a picture or shoot a lame 8-second video. I want to try and be an original. Could just be paralysis by analysis. We'll try and get more content out, though, through all of our platforms. We have met the enemy, and he is us. This quote is from that great American philosopher, Pogo, our creation of the American cartoonist Walt Kelly. In a nutshell, this is us, the Ho-Chunk Nation. In 1963, a spit of land is donated to us, and from this we begin to reinvent ourselves. We write a constitution, and we create a government with 4 equal branches. We receive a windfall when the Supreme Court allows gaming on indigenous land. In the space of 20 years, we build 6 gaming facilities with a 7th on the docket. We begin to pay ourselves net profit distribution, per cap if you will. And our youngsters receive huge payments on their 18th birthday, making us the subject of sensational internet stories. Throughout all of this, we have had one thing working for us and against us, our legislature. A long time ago, to be honest, I don't know when, our president lost his authority to lead the nation. But all of our presidents have had the bully pulpit, the ability to stand above the legislature and demand that they work for the people. Why our presidents have never barnstormed throughout the nation and laid their vision out for the people, to the people directly, I'll never understand. It's never happened though. Why? Instead, our legislature was and always is on the brink of removing our presidents. To what end? Our legislature has gathered power both legal and illegal, and not one of our presidents, save the present, was able to fight this power grab. And I ask again, to what end? Now, our legislature has accomplished some good things. The land purchase for the Beloit Casino, the gaming ordinance that was written to protect casinos workers after the rampage of the Gaming Commission years ago, per cap. But on balance, I think our legislature has run amok and has largely gone unchallenged. But to lay the blame on our legislature is too easy. We elect these individuals, and these are our relatives. But when we are on the receiving end of their largesse, we defend their actions. But when our legislature takes punitive action against individuals, we never take it upon ourselves to hold our legislature accountable for these actions, to force them to stop this destructive behavior. We never work together to force them, for our common good, to do what's right. Now, we've never had an actual fourth estate to publicly question our political leadership. We never questioned them on their course of action and then followed it to see if it accomplished what they said it would. We never forced our legislature to defend their actions in an open forum, where they had to answer questions and not just sit quietly until the storm blows over. A fourth estate, or media, if you will, would have been rude by nature, by our nature. To publicly challenge government officials on their actions and decisions would have never been allowed. We all criticize around the fire or the water cooler, but to do so publicly is a bridge too far for all of us. We have never fully invested in our general counsel. Perhaps it is because we never saw the political power of the general counsel and what it could and should accomplish. It was and still is a direct challenge to the authority of the legislature. One of the greatest mistakes of general counsel was not authorizing an attorney directly through our Constitution. It is this disconnect between general counsel resolutions and inactions by the legislature. Henry Whitethunder, the deputy advocate of the general counsel, has said that since 2013, 187 resolutions have been passed by general counsel, but that only 33 resolutions have been acknowledged by our legislature. Now, this is public knowledge, and this is a major disconnect between our legislature and our people. It's here that we have to decide what it is that we want. Do we want a fully functioning democracy? Do we want a business-type top-down corporation? Or maybe we can go back to our WWBC. Or we could simply revert back to the clan system with a hereditary chief and dissolve our government completely. Whatever we decide, we need participation from all of us, from all of you. One of the things that I'm a big fan of, and I'm always pushing, is public discourse. We cannot always be complainers. We have to advocate solutions for ourselves and our nation. For any problem or obstacle you encounter, you just can't look at it and complain. As a normal human being, you have to find a way to deal with said problem. Now, the easiest solution is just to kick the can down the road and put off confronting the problem until another time. Funny thing is, though, that time never seems to occur for a lot of us. I mean, there is always tomorrow, right? But how many tomorrows are any of us promised? Complaining and procrastinating are not the way to build a life or a nation. Advocating solutions, offering plans, rolling up your sleeves, and getting down to the grunt work, that will help the nation forward and is what we should be offering up for one another. And incidentally, this is what our legislatures promised us when they ran for office: diversifying business, housing, renewable energy, and government transparency, and accountability, among other promises. It's interesting to note that two legislative candidates that ran for office promising government transparency and separation of business from government both lost in their primaries. But if we look at our legislative candidates' background, I see nothing that should exclude a lot of our candidates from holding office. However, I see nothing in our legislative candidates' background that should allow them anywhere near a $250 million operation that has a direct effect upon all of us. No. Moving on, a lot of us have fallen into the trap of looking for help from one group or another and relying on this. And our legislature has fed this need. Now, our legislatures are not the only government entity to create and foster this dependency. This dependency is insidious and destructive. Some of us have been raised to consistently seek this help and almost come to expect it as a sort of a birthright. It has become so commonplace now that there is no shame involved and the behavior is institutionalized. Our federal government dangles money out to all of us for one thing or another, from defense contractors to bankers to universities to students, for this good cause and for that honorable cause, until this trickles down to everyday citizens like you and me. Some of us look to federal, state, county, ho-chunk nation government for help for almost all of our outstanding problems. We have been led down this path by federal and private institutions, by insidious means, and also by just plain old laziness. We don't have to work to survive nowadays. The means of survival are all around us if we simply ask, but it's a trap, like the sirens from the Odyssey. Now, I went down this path not to lay this problem at any person's feet. I did it because I want us to understand what we are up against when we attempt to raise our nation and, by commission, ourselves from this dependency. I want to point out my own participation in this. First, I openly advocated for the nation to get as many government grants as possible. And as of right now, I'm still advocating this position. But let's remember, that cheese isn't free, and there are rules and responsibilities that come with its use. Another federal source of funding that I'm advocating is federal 8A programs. A myriad number of indigenous nations use this program to enhance their bottom line, and for good reason. Uncle Sugar always pays his bills. An entire bureaucracy can be built and established just on applying and administering these programs alone. Careers for educated Ho-Chunks are available and found wanting because we have failed to reach out and grasp this opportunity with two hands. The problem here is we, the Ho-Chunk Nation, are relying on bureaucrats within the state and federal structure for our economic survival. The more funds we receive from federal and state entities, the more we are tied to their line of thinking. We have to ape their policies in order to stay within their good graces. This is sometimes tricky business when their policies don't mesh with ours. And as of today, I believe the risk of federal 8A and government and private grants are well worth the trouble. I equate these programs on a level with methadone to heroin users. It's necessary evil to help us kick our dependency to the state and federal programs. The Ho-Chunk Nation, economy is stagnant and has been for quite a while. And while our casinos show positive growth at the moment, have we done any actuarial studies that show what our financial growth will be in 5, 10, 25, 50 years down the road? What will our expenditures be 5, 10, 25, 50 years down the road? Have we done any studies on what our nation will look like from a population and social aspect? Do we know what the political and economic landscape will be when our compacts are up for renegotiations? For too long, we have let our legislature steer the nation through our day-to-day tribulations, when it is constitutionally none of their concern. We have a president to administer day-to-day operations of all the various departments, with directors of those departments responsible for the execution of programs and the accountability of funds. What say we give those directors a chance to run their departments without being micromanaged by the legislature? We, the Ho-Chunk Nation people, have to have a serious discussion on what we want our legislature to be in the future. We really need a serious discussion on what we want our government to look like in the future and how it will interact with us going forward. Our problems are many, but at the moment, they are somewhat manageable. Can we have a legislature that will work with our president, our general counsel, and our judiciary on these problems and create a strong and healthy nation for ourselves and our posterity? We have met the enemy, and it is us. The statement is accurate and frightening. Let's work together and meet the challenge.